Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Pierce, I remember when we started this term of Congress and Elon Musk and DOGE wiped out about $500 million of grants that were going to victim assistance groups, crime-fighting groups, local police departments, and nobody could quite explain why the particular DOGE employee did that, but they wiped out about $500 million of grants going to help the families of victims and to try to stop crime. Can you discuss what happened there? What were those grants? Why did that happen? And what kind of effect does that have when money that we've appropriated from Congress for this purpose and the grants are programmed, they're wiped out? What effect does that have?
Sure, so it was actually $820 million in Department of Justice grants that they canceled, $500 million of which had already been granted. So that means the organizations that were receiving those grants had already started hiring staff, renting spaces. The communities that were going to receive those public safety grants had already started relying on that money coming in, and all of that was wiped away. I've recently been working with the Victim Rights Law Center, which is an amazing nonprofit organization in Massachusetts. They have lost 3 attorneys so far because of the way that the Department of Justice is messing with these public safety grants. That means victims, hundreds of victims of sexual assault and rape no longer have attorneys because that public safety funding has disappeared.
But it's not just victim assistance groups, it's also crime-fighting groups, and police departments had millions of dollars of grants that were canceled, correct?
Absolutely.
My recollection.
Yes.
So have the Office of Justice Programs grants from fiscal year 2025 been reinstated and distributed?
So we were talking about earlier about canceled grants, right? There's another problem with the Department of Justice grants in that they have significantly slowed down the amount of grants that are growing across the United States, not only for organizations, but also for police departments. And the fiscal year 2025 Department of Justice grants that go through the Office of Justice Programs have not been fully granted.
But why is that happening?
I don't know. The Department of Justice has not spoken to why this has happened. This is an unprecedented thing that has caused disruption across our country, and the Department of Justice is not telling anyone why they have been delaying this. It's more than $2 billion in grants that have not gone.
$2 billion, did you say?
$2 billion.
So what would that $2 billion have been able to do for local police forces around the country?
It would be used to hire officers. It would be used to train officers. It would be used to support officer wellness programs. It would be used to support resources for law enforcement, such as body cameras, different things that they desperately need.
Our system is complex because it's a federal system, so we have national government, Department of Justice, federal policies, and then we have state and local policies. And there you described this tension, this hostility that's creating problems. Can you discuss how jurisdictions normally cooperate with the federal government in different ways, and how does it best work?
Sure, so talking specifically about immigration enforcement,
Sure.
Like I said during my testimony, every single law enforcement jurisdiction across the United States cooperates with immigration enforcement. Every time someone is booked, that information is sent to the Department of Homeland Security and to ICE. And then jurisdictions from there need to decide how much more of their local resources they will lend to ICE and immigration enforcement to help ICE do its job.
Okay, will you just help us understand the different resources that are available to the federal government and then to local government police forces?
Sure, so as I said during my testimony, this Congress has provided ICE with $113.5 billion to do their job, to enforce immigration law in the United States. And that is more than the combined annual operating budget of every single local law enforcement jurisdiction in America. So we're talking about local police departments that have limited amount of resources, and their primary duty is public safety. Their primary duty is not immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, we have a federal agency who has a budget larger than all but 4 militaries in the world, and their primary duty is civil immigration enforcement.
So what would you suggest we work on a bipartisan basis in Congress in order to reduce criminal violence by undocumented immigrants, but in general, because There are people suffering these tragedies generally across the country. What can we do to bring down the crime rate generally and all of the violence?
Those resources that ICE receives should be targeted at the biggest public safety threats, right? We shouldn't have a federal agency that is running amok across the United States trying to fulfill a quota to get as many people into detention and deportation as possible. That's not making us safer. In addition, we need a federal government that's willing to work with local law enforcement jurisdictions. We have had ICE in the past have compromise and communication be their primary driver when they're working with local jurisdictions. That goes a lot farther than the bullying that we're seeing from this administration. That only increases the distrust that we're seeing at the federal level between the federal level and the state and local level.
Thank you. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.